YouTube has been rather friendly to us in recent times. I might as well hop onto the main Race Spec account as well so I can manage it from there. Make it a bit easier for everybody. Right. Channel. Overcast conditions. No obvious signs of wet weather just yet, but we might see some later in qualifying. There is Elite Series. The audio is working, the chat's up, the stream's up, all running perfectly. Fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to round 7 of the PlayStation Pacific Elite Series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your lead commentator for this event, and before we go into proceedings, there is an announcement to make. Those in the Race Spec Discord already know this, but for those who don't, this week we were supposed to be racing at Sochi Autodrome for the Russian Grand Prix. But in light of recent real-world events, a decision was made on Friday to replace the event location. Voted by the Race Spec Esports admin team, the circuit to serve as a replacement for Sochi, as you may have already guessed, is Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. The 4.65 kilometre, 16-turn circuit was built in 1991 and has been the scene of some pretty awesome moments in Formula One history, such as Michael Schumacher's wet weather masterclass in 1996, resulting in his first win for Ferrari, Pastor Maldonado's unbelievable victory in 2012, and the infamous moment between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton in 2016 that resulted in Max Verstappen taking his first ever win in Formula One, just to name a few moments. Unfortunately, this doesn't compensate for the circuit's poor real-life reputation of producing rather dull racing. This is mostly due to most corners here are high speed, making it very difficult for cars to follow one another. Fortunately for us, in the virtual world, the circuit's nature and reputation is almost completely flipped compared to its real-life counterpart. Racing tends to be pretty good here, with 2 DRS zones that lead into turns 1 and the now non-existent hairpin of turn 10 that Metz is going through right now. We may also see some action into turns 4 and 5 as well. In terms of hazards, the drivers, as Metz has just encountered a gravel trap, the drivers must be wary of the inside auto-spin curbs of turns 2 and 11. Turns 7 and 8 can be at times a tricky complex to go through, and finally the fast right-hander of turn 9. It's arguably the most dangerous part of the circuit as cars are right on the edge of grip. It's very easy to lose control and end up having a meet and greet with a barrier. With it being a relatively short circuit, qualifying should hopefully be fairly close. But before we focus on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Spa. There were 3 incident reports, 2 of which involving ACW. One of them involved Alex Pato. It was a collision at turn 5, Lecom, that resulted in Alex spinning. The stewards have deemed ACW at fault, and he was given a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point for violating Rule 3.4.1 of the Race Spec Racing rules. The second incident involving ACW was between himself and Plebs on the final lap at the same section of circuit turns 5, 6 and 7. The reasoning the stewards have given us is rather vague. But basically, he was given a 5-second time penalty for the dangerous rejoin after turn 6, and for the collision he and Plebs had at turn 8. He was given 5-second time penalties and 1 penalty point for each incident, resulting in him getting 15 seconds worth of penalties and 3 penalty points, which will ultimately demote him from P2 to P9 in the final results. The third and final report involves Gilles trying to remove a 3-second time penalty, which was successful, which means he would move up from P5 to 2nd place in the final results. Looking at the Drivers' Championship, Ferrari Pro is leading on 147, followed by ACW on 106. Plebs is third on 104, just 2 points behind, followed by Pump, Roscoe Silderford, BPV8, Gilles, Alex Pato, and Bags Liddell. That's the top 10. Looking at the constructors, Alfa Romeo are leading by 175. But with the hit that ACW got, they lose about 16 points. And their previous score was about 191. It drops down to 175, meaning they're only 5 points in front of Ferrari coming into Spain. McLaren are third on 152, followed by Mercedes, Red Bull, Aston Martin, Haas, AlphaTauri, Williams, and Alpine completes the constructors' table. Now, with everything out of the way, I can finally introduce my co-commentator for this evening. Yes, I do have one for Elite Series tonight. It's Mr. KD 1997 from the Americas Series. Welcome, KD. Thank you very much for being here with me tonight. Now, I know you're actually pretty good around here, aren't you, KD? What makes you like this circuit so much?
Oof, good question. Well, I mean, thanks for having me, by the way. First of all, it's good to be here tonight. For Barcelona, I don't know. It's something that clicks with me about this circuit.
Is it a bit like
it's
Spa?
Not really. Maybe in a way, because I do like to go aggressive in the corners around here in Spain. It's easy to do so, like at turn 4, like you take a wide line, take aggressive approaches there, especially also at turn 7 and 8 as well. You gotta get aggressive on the corners, get proper lap time as well. It's a high downforce track, so you've got to like basically have all the maximum downforce you need to get proper cornering speed around this circuit. It's definitely the necessity around here.
But this circuit also has one neat trick about it for qualifying sake. The soft and medium tyre aren't too far apart in terms of raw pace. Now, if you were racing here tonight in Pacific Elite, KD, would you try and set your fastest time on the medium compound tyre?
No. The reason why is because you need the track evolution. Basically, in the beginning of qualifying, there isn't really much rubber to be laid out, so there's not much evolution. That's why, like, you may have seen me in the past in other leagues. I usually like to do a dummy lap. So basically what I do is turn off the ERS and just do a flying lap on the soft tire. So obviously, like, you'll be non-representative. Then I go out again on the medium tire. Then I go out on the medium tire, and then basically what I would do is go into that and then just go flat out as quick as I possibly can.
Fair enough. Now we're closing in on the halfway mark in qualifying. Plebs is currently sitting pretty at the top of the table with a 1 minute 16.298. He's done that on the soft tyre, I believe. Alex Pato is currently P2 on the medium tyre with a 16.5, as I mentioned a few moments earlier. The delta between the soft and the medium isn't ginormous. You can try and qualify on the medium compound tyre. We're right on board here with Bags Liddell. He's about to start a flying lap, give you a proper tour of this 4.6 kilometre racetrack. Down the main straightaway, watch the speedo climb up and over 315 kilometres an hour, 316, 317 as we enter turn 1. Fourth gear, short shifting to fifth. Be careful of that inside curb at turn 2. Quite a notorious bit of racetrack. Around turn 3, absolutely flat out. He hugs the inside there on the exit. Around turn 4, not a bad overtaking spot as Bags is up by almost a tenth of a second. Down towards the hairpin of turn 5, another big braking zone, potential overtaking spot. Around the left-hand kink of turn 6, into turn 7 and 8, you do have to be careful through here. Very easy to lose control. There's an Alpine just in front. Hopefully he'll get out of the way. Straight away, quote-unquote, exiting turn 9, now down into the non-existent hairpin by 3.5 tenths. I can't wait to see this new track with its new layout, actually, for F1 2022. Be interesting to see how much better the track flows. Yikes.
Yeah, took too much curve there on the inside there at turn 12.
Yeah.
Can be an easy mistake to do if you are not very careful hugging that inside. You gotta take a bit of a wider exit, though, out of turn 12 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bags will learn from that for sure. It's just the nature of the game, though. There's so many racetracks now where if you touch the curb, it's basically instant death for you and anyone unfortunate enough to be close to you when you make that spin. So that's one of the things that really drive people away from the game is some of the ridiculous physics you have to put up with. It's a bit infuriating when you see proper sim racing proper quote-unquote sim racing games like iRacing. You see the drivers use the curbs willy-nilly as ACW jumps up with a 15.8. That's half a second clear of plebs. That's a pretty big gap, I have to say.
Yeah.
But,
that is a very big gap too, yeah.
It's always infuriating. You see something like iRacing, you see the drivers just use the curb with limited trouble, and you jump over to what is something that's supposedly more arcadey. You have a really hard time with things. It grinds my gears just a little. Hopefully that's refined a little bit in 2022. Ferrari Pro is going to come up to complete his flying lap and jump up to P8. He's our championship leader. Hopefully he can find a bit more time towards the end of qualifying. He would need to be towards the front. It's not the easiest place to overtake Barcelona. You do have some overtaking spots, but you need to be quite committed, or you need a lot of DRS down the main straightaway. It's basically overall.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing about this track, was going to mention too, is the dirty air is a big factor around here, especially when you go into like turn 3. If you're behind a car, it's very hard to like try to get it overtake because you're compromised by all that dirty air. Especially if you get into turn 9 as well with dirty air, that can be a bit scary as well. Because if you go over the curb, car can get unsettled as well, and you can end up on the right side barrier, like you mentioned earlier in your intro.
Yeah,
but we'll
seen
see.
a lot of drivers do that over our lifetimes. It's a very easy spot to do that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it as well.
I've done it once, and I've done it once and a half, I'd say. I lost control once, and I managed to save it. I felt so proud of myself that day when I managed to save it. The only reason why I was able to save it was because I wasn't running ABS. That was the only reason why. I was quite thankful for that. Let's see. Got a few drivers still on flying laps. Others, though, seems like they're on in-laps. Rude is in the middle of a flying lap, maybe? I'm not
Alex
quite
is also
sure.
on a lap. He was up by 2 100s through the first sector. Ooh, kicks the back end there at the exit of turn 5. Might have lost a little bit of time from that.
He's still on the medium tyre as well. He and BP have set times, I think, on the mediums. Yes, they have. So, and they're up in the top 10. So they're sitting pretty well because the strategy here, I think the ideal one's medium to hard, isn't it?
It can be, well, there can be some strategies. It could be, like you said, a medium hard. That's the strategy I've gone for quite a bit around this place. But there's other strategies too. Like you could do a 2-stop, a soft medium. Medium is more of ideal if you're doing a soft strategy. Or if you can't stretch the softs, you can go soft hard. The only unfortunate thing is that if you do soft hard, you're going to lose a lot of pace at the end of the race on the hard tire.
And of course, that's only if we remain green flag from start to finish. There's bound to be a safety car at some point. Like you would think. But then again, it is this game. Like we can have like a 7-car pile up and all we'll get is yellow flags in that sector. So I don't know. And with Spain, you can have 7-car pile ups. You can have 7-car pile ups on the main straight on the opening lap. I know that because I experienced that once in a league race here. Was the most unbelievable start. I think a driver in the Ferrari lost the back end as Vengeance here is just invalidated through turn 8. A driver lost the back end after launching the car. I think they had traction control turned off. Car went completely sideways and destroyed the entire midfield. Had the red flag and start all over again. So it is possible to have wrecks here. Like really big wrecks. So... But I'm sure the drivers are not planning that.
I've heard that story many times as well.
And I think we both know the driver, but we'll save them the embarrassment. They're probably not watching.
We'll glance over that.
I find it highly unlikely that they're watching, but for the sake if they are, I won't say their names. So But we're coming towards the end of qualifying with just over 3 minutes left. ACW looks rather untouchable with his 15.8. Drivers will have to improve by half a second or more to try and challenge that. And that's quite an uphill battle considering the circuit's only 4.5 kilometers long as Andre ducks back into pit lane. I can't really think of anyone trying to challenge.
Nah, I can't really either. I mean, yeah, I can't really see anybody getting close to that. I could see ACW improving that time a little bit more, though. I remember I commentated a race actually around this place. It was a European league earlier today, and the pole time for that I remember was a 1:15.5.
Right.
And it was a full quali session as well. So that was obviously settled in Q3. The fastest time I saw in the medium, however, was a 1:16.1.
Right.
It was quite possibly the quickest time I've ever seen on the medium tire around this place, at least so far.
That is very, very quick. I think as Vengeance has just jumped up to P2 with a 16 flat. I remember once a league race that I commentated, a guy put his car on pole position with the median tyre, and that driver was Alpoon. And he's one of the most godly drivers you could possibly watch. I mean, like, he's at the top at most time trial sheets for a reason. He is quick. So,
he's quick in qualifying, that is for sure. Like,
he has shocking race starts, though. Like, the worst race starts out of anybody, I reckon.
It's interesting. It's interesting because he has the qualifying pace of a god, and then you can have the race pace of just about the same as him, which is very odd for me.
Yeah, some people are just really good at that one-lap magic. It doesn't help that he gets shocking, like the worst race starts out of any racing driver I've seen. As Ferrari Pro here is about to complete his flying lap, you'll get maybe a little bit of help from Metz here as they head onto the main straight. Ferrari Pro does a 16.2, improving by 0.7 to go to P3. I think Hill has jumped up to P6 as well when I wasn't watching, as ACW starts his final flying lap. See if he can improve here down towards turn 1. The opening chicane of 1 and 2. Fourth gear really chucking it in, or dangerously using just enough of that inside curve. If he used any more or any less, he probably would have spun out there. Up towards the first sector split.
That's...
He got out of the way.
That was lag on my...
lag on your end?
Lag on my end. Lag. Yeah, so...
Yeah, he got out of the way.
Because on my screen, he went very close to ACW.
I see.
That's why I reacted.
We're all good. We're all good. ACW making his way around turn 9 now. He was up by 10th. Oh, he's using all of the track. He's almost lost control as he's head down towards the second sector split. And the clock says he's purple, but he's still down overall. Can he improve here in the final sector? Through 11, through 12, avoiding those curves. Probably, maybe not hugging as much as he could have, as BP jumps up to second
by the way,
with a 15.9. Through this flow-destroying chicane of 14 and 15, really using all of the curb. And AC...
he had back out of it.
He says, bugger it, I'm going back in the pit lane. Not going to improve.
Ferrari also jumped up to 4th with a 1:16. Oh, wait, no, we already said that. 1:16.2. So he's ahead of Plebs. And I think Bags improved as well to 1:16.3 in 6th place. Ahead of G4 Zach. That was? Yeah.
Speaking of which, he's coming towards the end of a flying lap. Will he improve? The answer is yes. Jumps up to P5, beating Plez by 0.03 of a second. Alex Pato comes to the end of a flying lap. Actually, no. He comes to the end of an invalidated lap. He would have done a low, or rather a high 2. That might have put him up to P6 if that lap was counted. But unfortunately, it doesn't. So, I think that's qualifying over. Everyone's either crossed the line or they're back in the pit lane. It's ACW on pole position with a 15.8. Then it's BP with a 15.9. Now, I also noticed in the Discord that Alfa Romeo have revealed their livery for this year.
Did they?
And I have to say, it looks very different from...
Let me see if I can see it on Instagram.
It looks very, very different from their previous seasons. And they also have done a nice looking design with the rear rims. They actually look pretty sick. Oh, not the rims, the wheel covers, I should say.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
It's like an old Alfa Romeo logo, like from the 20s.
Yeah, from the 20s, yeah.
That actually looks pretty sick. I like that. It's a...
at least someone has done something with their wheel covers, like in terms of the design.
Yeah, everyone else has left theirs blank.
Plain black one. Yeah, or just put a sticker logo on it.
Yeah, like Mercedes
that
or
is
something.
Beautiful. Yeah, or McLaren.
Yeah.
No, this looks fantastic.
Yeah, I like how that looks. Alfa Romeo have done a pretty nice job in both the real world and in the virtual one, as ACW is on pole by just over a tenth of a second to BPV8. He'll line up alongside the man who's currently second in the Drivers' Championship. Vengeance, a new driver, one that I haven't seen at the very least, is third with a 16 flat, followed by Ferrari Pro. Then G4 Zach, Plebs, Bags, Liddell, Hilles, Alex Pato, then Pump rounds out the 10, and Alex will be starting on the mediums in P9. Then Roscoe Arm is P11, followed by Andre, Chip, Powersight, Metz, and Rude will start from the back of the field. So 2.6 seconds separating the field. That's not too bad, considering the change was, well, the track change was on relatively short notice. As I mentioned back in the introduction, the decision was made on Friday, the day before real life Formula One said that they were going to race in Russia either. So,
yeah, I saw that.
Not too many people liking Russia at the moment, it seems. So.
Yeah, Putin's really made some interesting decisions the past few days.
Made some opposite of friends, I guess. Probably the best way to put it. But, you know. Actually, speaking of that Alfa Romeo design, a nice little segue that Spain brings about is that we've had real-life pre-season testing going on. And I have to say, the cars, first of all, they look spectacular out on the racetrack. I do like a lot of the designs. But one thing that's caught my eye is this effect that the cars are having to deal with, this porpoising effect, where the cars are bobbing up and down at high speeds. Now, apparently, this caught a lot of teams out, but according to historians, the F1 cars back in the 80s, when they had ground effect as well, they're being caught out by exactly the same thing. And I just found it a bit humorous, is that, did the Formula 1 teams really not do their history into this?
I was just thinking when I saw the porpoising, I was just thinking they were trying to copy like lowriders.
Lowriders, yeah, just bobbing up and down. And it's a cool scientific effect. Like, how it works is that when the air goes underneath the car, it generates downforce. So when the floor hits the ground, that airflow is disturbed, and the downforce basically switches off. Just like that. And the car lifts up because of it, because there's nothing sucking the car down onto the road. But suddenly the car has ride height again, so the downforce comes back, which sucks it back down to the road. Car hits the road, downforce disappears again. It's such a cool effect. And I'll be fascinated to see what the teams do to try and get around that issue. But it's interesting to see that teams are having to, work around their designs. They haven't got it perfect. So...
Well, we'll have to wait and see once we get to Bahrain. I think that's what the next this coming weekend for testing.
Yeah, I believe you're right. So
so maybe they'll try to see if they can fix it up. I'm sure it will probably just be an aerodynamic change. But other than that, I mean, like you said, the cars look fantastic. Another thing that's really caught my eye too is one team in particular who's done so many laps in testing, and that was Ferrari, who did 439 laps.
That's a lot
of
laps.
anybody.
That's
a hell of a lot of laps. And behind them was Mercedes with like 378, I want to say.
Yeah. So this season of Formula One is looking interesting. We'll run through the order nice and quickly. We've got ACW on pole position, followed by BP, then Vengeance, Ferrari Pros P4, then it's Zach, Pump who's been disqualified from the formation lap, will line up 10th place. Roscoe is on fresh mediums in P11, followed by Dre on fresh softs. Power Sight, Metz, and Rude. Rude will be starting from the back. Those 4 drivers, they're all on the medium compound tyre. So we got 6 drivers on the mediums, 10 on the softs. But Rude is now lining up into his grid slot. The leaders are ready to race. A 16-car field. It's nice and healthy. It's not a full field, though, so you've got to be a little bit disappointed. But 16 is a healthy number. And they're all... Haven't we commenced the starting procedure yet?
Well, there was something else I was going to mention, too. I forgot to mention earlier.
Hang on.
Pump also left the session. Well,
is that Pump's Mercedes? It is. Look at this. Go on board with Pump's Merc. It's
he's
out
off the grid.
He's out of track, almost.
He's off the track. Migraine host.
Well, it seems that Plebs has left the session, and I think other drivers are likely to do the same. But it seems that we're going to reset the lobby.
Lobbies, what a combination.
Rightio, I suppose we'll quit the main menu then.
Is that what Pledge is saying?
I think so.
I mean, I'm not in the Discord, so I don't know. Well, not in the Discord channel, I should say. Okay.
Everyone else left, so... Imagining
right,
that's what we're doing.
To hell with it, fuck. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. Oh, goodness me.
That'll allow us to talk a bit more about pre-season, I suppose. You mentioned Ferrari.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's quite interesting to see how many laps they're capable of doing. Like you mentioned, they are way clear of everyone else in terms of lap time. And that sort of gives all the Ferrari fans, the Tifosi, quite a bit of confidence coming into this season. Because a lot of laps is a really good thing. You compare that to Haas, where I don't even think they've reached over 100 laps.
I thought they did like 169 laps.
Did they?
Last I thought they did.
I know they had plenty of issues going into testing. They had a lot of faults. But no, and Haas, they're going through a shake-up at the moment with the Eurocali sponsorship and Nikita Mazepin, it seems. So... Oh, and there's the Discord message. Good. PlayStation message, I should say. I'll invite you nice and quickly.
No worries.
F1. Invite. Be nice and quick about this, folks. There we are.
Yeah, I guess that's what Haas was saying about building for the future. You can't even just do more than 160-something laps.
It's not great. It's not a great thing to see. But
I mean, Alfa Romeo did like 175, if I remember correctly, as well. They were... Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, 160 laps.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I thought it was somewhere around 160.
There you go. So in terms of total lap count, Haas have the least by 26 laps to Alfa Romeo, and they were having problems as well throughout pre-season testing. The rest of the teams are pretty close in terms of lap count. Like Ferrari 308, Aston Martin 294, McLaren 367, Alpine 264, Williams 347. That's really good to see from Williams, because we remember from 3 seasons ago, back in 2019, Williams struggled to even arrive at pre-season testing. So see them get plenty of laps under their belt is really good to see. Yeah, Ferrari were the only team to crack the 400s, so...
Yeah. Anyway, I have to restart my game because apparently I couldn't join the sessions.
That's alright. Take your time.
Just trying again. Yeah. Yeah, if I join mid-session, I'll join mid-session. no biggie.
Yeah, that'll be fine as
Oh,
well.
thank you. Oh, thank you, Roscoe. Appreciate the invite as well. But yeah, no, you mentioned like the cars were just even pretty much the entire way. Like majority of them were in the 300s. Like ones though that didn't crack, and that was Aston Martin, Alpine, and then of course the other guys we mentioned. I should say Alfa Romeo and Haas, who didn't even crack 200.
No. So.
But
yeah, Haas. Again, looking like they're not in a very solid position. So.
yeah. But no, I mean, if Ferrari are going to be looking really good this season, I'm being genuine. I hope they do very well because I know like the last 2 years hasn't been the greatest for Ferrari, especially in 2020 when they had power unit straight line speed issues, the unreliability issues as well. We all saw that over the course of 2020, and then of course what followed that as well was what happened in 2019 with the illegal engine.
Yeah.
So that also gave him a kick in the butt. But yeah, I hope they do well. I really do.
I have a feeling they will, but it's just a feeling. We'll have to wait and see until race day at Bahrain, and we have the first event of the championship. Then we get the genuine idea of who's where in terms of pace and who's got the best car overall. Like you would hope with the reg change that everyone is a bit close, but can't help but feel that one team will get it just that little bit more right. We'll see them towards the front. So yeah, no, it'll be very interesting to see.
And then I'm looking too as well, the fastest laps over the course of the session. This is based off of the top 10 drivers, and they were pretty much separated by nearly a second. The fastest time was by Hamilton, but with a 1:19.138. And the 10th spot was for Daniel Ricciardo with a 1:20.288.
Yeah.
So, if you want to know the rest of the order, it was George Russell, Sergio Perez, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, Pierre Gasly. They were in the 1:19s, and they were separated just by less than 8/10. Okay. And then Carlos Sainz and then Ricciardo that were in the 1:20s.
So the signs are there that it is close, but again, we won't genuinely know. Like, there'll be teams sandbagging, more than likely. So we'll have to wait and see until Bahrain to get the genuine idea of who's where in terms of pace. So loading in now. Hopefully this won't take too long and we can get some racing done. Hopefully, if the game just cooperates with us, that'd be nice. Clear skies as well. That's something that the drivers reported that I failed to mention, is that it was dry for both sessions, so we shouldn't have any wet weather interference in this race. Also saw a message from Wildboy. Soft mediums, KD, might be the go-to. You reckon that's possible here?
You know, I was having that conversation with ACW not too long ago about that strategy. He said that he was working on doing a soft medium strategy. He thinks that he could stretch it to lap 11, like the soft stint,
and then go to the 22. Right.
I mean, that's a tall order, I'd say, but is it possible?
I suppose you'd only have to worry about the left-hand side tyres. It's a clockwise circuit, so there's a lot of right-handers. You've got turn 1, 3, 4, you've got turn 9, you've got turn 12, and the final corner as well, 16. So the right-hand side tyres will cop most of the load. So if you can manage them, then you should be able to do fairly lengthy stints. But that is, of course, as we mentioned earlier, if we don't have any safety cars over the course of the race. And I reckon there will be. There's a predicted tyre swap strategy for ACW. He's got the soft tyres bolted on, so... But, as KD pointed out, he might be thinking of a one-stop on the soft to mediums. So that predicted tyre swap strategy might not be accurate. But I reckon the key laps to look out for is probably lap, I'd say 10 to 12. That's probably the pit window to go from softs to mediums. Onto hards, could probably push that back to about lap 8 or so, I would think. So, and I'll just double check as well. Yeah, top 10, they're all on the right tyre, and everyone else is on the same tyres too, except for one, and that's Power Sight down in P14. He's decided to change it up. Instead of starting on the mediums, he's starting on the hard compound tyre. So, fair enough, I suppose. And hopefully all the drivers have put on a setup. That's something I've done a couple of times when we've had lobby resets, is run default, because you forget to put a setup on. So hopefully the drivers have done that.
Yeah, that's the one thing you gotta do as well. I've been guilty of that as well. It's like you just try to get your strategy, you think, alright, get that done, get the fuel load, good to go. And then you're like, oh crap, I forgot my setup.
I did an oopsie. I forgot to put a setup on.
Can we do another restart,
Can we do it? You just wave your hands out of the car. Stop, 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 stop. False start. Everybody do another formation lap. I did an oopsie. That's Rude is lining up into his grid slot now. So nobody's left. We still have 16 cars for this event, and the leaders are lined up ready to go. It's ACW from BP V8. Vengeance is third, followed by our championship leader, Ferrari Pro. But here we go. We've got 10 red lights. And we are underway here in Barcelona. What a start from BP. He'll take the lead down the main straightaway as they head down towards turn 1. Ferrari Pro is challenging ACW. They're side by side down towards the opening corner. Oh, ACW tries to fight, but he can't hang on. He goes down to third. Around turn 3 they go. Plebs is trying to look down the inside. Can't get it done. Hillers is up a few positions into P6. Vengeance is down to 7th. Around turn 4 they go. All the drivers line astern. The midfield not doing too much. Oh, the tail of the field though, they're side by side as they exit turn 4. He has. He's down to 15th. Rudin, Power Sight.
Contact between him and Power Sight.
Yeah.
As well at the exit of 5.
Around turn 6 as Metz does some lawn mowing in that Alpine. Rude gets by. Vengeance, what has happened to him? He's shuffled down the order still, down to 9th place.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he spun, never mind, but has he got damage?
I can't quite tell.
I thought for a glance he had no... Right?
Rightio. So what a start from BP. He leads the field around the final corner to complete the first lap of 33 here at Barcelona. 1.1 seconds is the gap between P1 and 2. Then it's half a second between P2 and 3. Plez is just behind in 4th, followed by G4 Zach, and Metz is into the pit lane. Turn 2, then turn 3.
Yeah, so he must have got damaged somewhere in the first 4 corners, I want to say. Yep.
Wouldn't be at all surprised. Wouldn't be too surprised. You often see a little bit of carnage on the opening lap. Fortunately, though, no retirements and no safety cars just yet. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw one at some point during the race. Vengeance trying to get by Alex Pato. Alex is on the medium tyre, so you won't have the pace of the soft runners right now. Around turn 9, they go onto the back straightaway towards the hairpin of turn 10. There's the predicted pit stop strategy for Alex. His pit window's lap 14 to 16 to get onto the hard tyre. Around the kink of 11, then through 12. You have to be very careful with that kink at turn 11. It's quite a nasty little kink. That inside curb is not one to be messed with, that's for sure. Every time I've run over it, I've lost control of the car. Sometimes I save it. Sometimes I just don't. Just the nature of it.
You end up in the just go into the gravel if you do.
That's it.
PP did set the fastest lap as well, and he increased that gap by a couple of tenths as well. It's now 1.5 seconds compared to the previous lap.
DRS is now enabled as well, seeing as it's lap 3 of the race. It'll help drivers out, try and make some moves. Around the sweeper of turn 4 comes Hillez, Bags, Alex and Vengeance. It's a 4-way battle for P6. G4 Zach isn't too far in front of this either. So if he makes a mistake, he might get involved in this little battle pack. ACW, he's half a second behind. He'll gain time with DRS. I don't think he'll gain enough to challenge for second place. Yeah, didn't gain enough.
Well, he goes deep in the brakes. Very confident as well.
He wants to get by. He needs to try and find some clear air, catch up to BPVA, because BP's just driving off into the distance. If he just lets him do that, then BP's got an easy win. That is, of course, if we don't see a safety car.
Yeah. And that battery as well, ACW. That's always something I wouldn't do to try to save some battery, but he's going to go for it, I think.
Around the outside.
He's going to go side by side.
Oh!
Makes a slight bit of contact with his front wing, but he manages to get through. Risky move, but it worked.
Something's happened to Alex.
Matos, yeah, I think he spun or something. Or at a moment, I should say, at the exit of 2.
More than likely. Yellow flags, that's Metz. At the exit of turn 11, I wonder what he did. We were talking about it a few moments ago.
He's hitting the gravel, as we mentioned earlier.
I hate that curb. I'm quite thankful it's gone.
Man, that's... ACW lost the back end there coming out of turn 8. Managed to keep the car going at least, but you'll have it Ferrari Pro very close. Like, not close enough to make a move at turn 10.
Not quite,
the old turn 10.
The old turn 10. The oldie. Turn 10 as ACW has another wiggle. This time at turn 11, around 12. Up towards 13. Into the chicane of 14 and 15. Using a healthy amount of curve there.
This part of the track, really.
Yeah,
it's just such a death-destroying flow, part of the race circuit.
Yeah, it's rubbish. I'm not a fan of it either. As here comes Ferrari Pro. Take the position back, and no collision between the two this time around. Just a nice, healthy overtake from Ferrari Pro. Nice and easy with the power of DRS. Two Aston Martins are fairly close together on track as well as they head around turn 3. Gilles is close, not close enough though, as Metz gets a 3-second time penalty. His power side overtakes Rude, and Rude takes him back. What's going on here? Side by side around turn 3 they go. This is for points, by the way. Top 15 score points here in Race Spec, so there is something to fight for. As Powerside's trying to do him around the outside here at turn 4. He keeps it there, keeps the fight alive, though it could have ended there at that very moment. But fortunately, nothing bad came from it. So...
Ferrari Pro's just leaning a little bit of a conga line, I'd probably say. You got him, then you got ACW, Plebs, G4 Zach. You got Bags, Vengeance. As Metz is out of the race, he's retired in the pit lane.
Yeah, he destroyed his front wing, I noticed. He entered in, yeah, he's retired. So that means everyone who finishes will score something. So everyone try and finish. That's the main thing.
Rocco set the fastest lap. Well, I've noticed too how much battery he's used as well, because he's got 20%, ACW's got at least 50%. So Ferrari Pro was pushing over the course of that lap. But
he wants to keep that track
though,
position.
it's just, yeah. But meanwhile, BP, it's just seems like he's in a world of his own at the moment. Yeah, 2-second lead, and yeah, he seems like he's in control.
It's just opened up by 3/10 through turn 4. I think Ferrari Pro might have made a mistake, because yeah, that gap opened up quite a bit through one corner. Used to be 2 seconds at the entry to turn 4. At the exit, it was 2.4 seconds. So, exiting turn 9 now. Unfortunately, the straight isn't quite long enough for anyone to try and make a move, unless you're really quite close to the car in front. ACW stays behind. Plebs is following suit as well, with G4 Zach just within that 1 second range. Well, I might just briefly look away from this. Powerside, oh no, he gets a shocking run. I thought Powerside might be going for a move on Rude, but got quite a poor run. As BP's in. BP, the race leader.
BP's going to the pits already.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to go for a 2-stop, I reckon.
Has to be, yeah. Only reason why he would pit this early.
Let me take a look and see. It is, yep, medium tires on the car, and away goes the Haas.
Fair enough.
So yeah, he's going for a 2-stop for sure. So that means Ferrari Pro is now in the lead with ACW behind him.
So we've got a train of cars from P1 down to P7, just. I say just because Hillers is just within that 1 second range of his teammate Vengeance, and he's just gone outside of it. He needs to stay within it so he can keep up with this train. Through 7 and 8, up the hill towards turn 9, as Hillers gets a 3-second time penalty in his desperation to keep up with his teammate. Down this back straightaway, quote unquote, into the hairpin. You can see there again with that outboard shot, ACW very confident under brakes entering the hairpin. He closes up quite a bit. So that'll give him a bit of confidence that he can send it from fairways back. Try and make a move as BP does exactly that at turn 10. He moves himself into P12. Fairly simple overtake.
goes into the bits now too.
So he's going to try and do a 2-stop. He's nice and gentle into the pits. So what's Ferrari Pro up to?
Alright, so ACW now takes the lead. Sure, it's medium tires, I reckon. Yep.
As Alex overtakes Pump for P7. And he's currently the leading driver on the medium compound tyre. But Hillers in P6 with Bags in 5th now. His teammate Vengeance is up into 4th place, and he's trying to catch up to the top 3. Just 1.3 seconds behind G4 Zach, as Andre is exiting the pits now down in 15th place. Around turn 7s and 8. Up the hill around turn 9. And he's still a bit too far behind. Players now closing in on ACW. Be interesting to see what these two do, considering what the two in front have done with BP and Ferrari Pro. Committing, it seems, to a 2-stop strategy. They come down the hill around the chicane.
Made a slight mistake there.
Look how much time he gains.
Doesn't get a good run there.
I don't think it was Plebs getting a poor run as Hillers goes into the pit lane. It's ACW's line through the penultimate corner. Like, ACW cuts so much of 15 compared to a lot of other drivers I've noticed. As VP sets the fastest lap.
Well.
I think it's just the line ACW is capable of taking through that corner. He's just confident enough to cut as much as he can through the chicane, whereas Plebs, he essentially stayed within the white lines. Because the curbs at the chicane are rather painful, I guess is the best way of putting it. It's very easy for the car to jump up on you and lose control. So, Plebs will close
I think
in.
Plebs, though, is just playing... He's definitely playing the patient game, too, with all the resources he's got. So, yeah. He's close, but he's not really trying to attack ACW.
Oh, yeah.
But, of course, these two, like you mentioned before, those two had to come in together. Maybe, well, hopefully we won't see that, but
no.
They're pretty close to one another at the moment.
Ferrari Pro overtakes Chip around the outside of turn 10 to take P10. Plebs is now closing in on ACW. That's the speed of DRS for you.
And there you go. Yep. Got all the resources, and there you go. Into the lead.
Now, ACW, will he try and stay behind Plebs, save up a bit of battery, or will he try and attack as soon as possible to take the lead back? I suppose only time will tell. G4 Zach is just sitting behind. He's got a healthy amount of battery. He's got 30-odd%. It's not horrible. It's not the same quantity that ACW and Plebs have got at the moment. As Rude and Powerside are battling through turn 2, around the fast right-hand sweeper of turn 3. They're still side by side on the exit as well. Heading down towards turn 4. Rude has the inside line. Powerside tries to fight. He tries to switch back. And he gets him. He gets the position back. Oh no, a big send from Rude down the inside.
He locked up quite a bit though through that corner. He held the position though. Fair play to Rude there.
Absolutely. Nice little exchange. Oh, as he's lost the back end and loses the position. All that hard work for nothing. As Plebs goes into the pit lane.
Zach in. And Zach too. They're both coming in.
Bags is in. Oh, it's a double stack for Mercedes. Look at that. Oh, as Rude sends it down the inside of the hairpin.
No.
Oh, they're still battling. Through 11. They're side by side. Contact at the entry to 12. Exiting turn 12 now. Down and around 13.
Look at this.
Another switchback? No, power side hangs on.
No, while you're watching the exchange, I was trying to keep track of like what tires are going on. So Zach's on the hards, Bags on the hards, and Plebs are on the hards as well. So the last of the sophomores to pit, obviously, is ACW and Vengeance. Oh, and they're still exchanging.
Yeah, they're
two.
still going at it. They're still going at it, and Rude gets the position as BP gets a 3-second time penalty. Deary me, these two have had a almighty scrap for 13th. It's been good to watch. And I can see those who have moved on to the hard tyre. So drivers committing to a soft-hard strategy. We've got others on 2 stops, potential 2 stops like Ferrari Pro and BP. We've got some drivers might try and stretch. Oh. So that means Alex will take 2nd place. Vengeance comes in.
Yep, Vengeance probably will. Maybe he might follow them. Let's see.
He's on the medium.
Mediums.
So he might try and stretch. Well, pit window we guesstimated earlier was 10 to 12 as we got a random plume of smoke. Oh, wait a minute. Someone off the...
What?
We had a huge plume of smoke at the entry to turn 1. I thought it might have been a glitch. But I think somebody actually had a moment at turn 1. It's either BP or Roscoe Arm. I couldn't quite tell who that might have been. But I saw this huge cloud of smoke.
You sure it was smoke, or was it just... I mean, I wasn't on them at the time.
It looked like smoke. Or maybe... I couldn't tell you what else it could have been. It had to have been smoke. Which is strange, because...
well, I mean, they seem okay.
I don't think there's a smoke detail with the tyres in this. It just seemed like... It seemed like somebody left a pile of flour at the entry to turn 1. Somebody hit it. You had this big plume of just white as ACW goes in. That's what it looked like. Yep, so very strange.
Alex takes the lead. Interesting.
So the medium tires
there.
Oh, he leads.
There you go. No, wait. So yeah, so BP goes to 2nd, Roscoe 3rd, and then Pro, into 4th. Plebs gets the undercut on ACW. That's not a surprise either, considering he pitted a little while ago.
Yeah. Fortunately for ACW, he doesn't fall behind G4 Zach. So he only has Plebs to worry about in terms of track position, and he's got the better tyre on the mediums. Power side and Rude, hello. They're side by side again.
They're still going.
Around turn 3. Okay, but power side, can you fight back, buddy? He's using his battery. And Rude is low on it. You can tell from the flashing light on the back of the car.
Rude locked up a little bit there to turn 4. Let's see what Powerside does. He thought about going for a move there at turn 5, but he backed out of it. But Rude goes wide there on the exit of 5.
Through 7 and 8.
Oh, it's Finn! He's gone! He's gone.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, he touched too much of the curb at turn 7.
Yep. And the car went around. Unfortunate. He has to be careful now. Those tyres won't feel too good. He gets through turn 9 very comfortably. Nice job there. Alright. Chip, Vengeance. 110 separating the two. Now they're the other way round. It's Vengeance from Chip. Now Vengeance, his next target will be G4 Zach in 7th place. Ferrari Pro is now on the back of Roscoe Arm. Only 2 tenths separating these two. As they head out of turn 4 down towards 5. Ferrari Pro, will he go for a move? The answer is no. A bit of a lock up there from Roscoe Arm, the car in front. So there is a smoke detail. I saw that there. But I don't remember seeing that in previous races. Like when drivers lock up, sometimes the smoke...
Not very easy to see in this game for whatever reason. It's not very... Here comes Ferrari, bro. He's got the overspeed. Goes for inside move.
Roscoe Arm leaves the door wide open, so...
He just rolled the red carpet for him, really.
That's it. Rolled the red carpet out for the red car. And through goes Ferrari, bro. Now Roscoe Arm, he'll be just trying to follow Ferrari as best he can. Try and make the most of those medium compound tyres, I guess. Just a strategic overtake, I guess. Politest way of putting it.
Yeah, you could say that. Meanwhile, keeping my eyes also on ACW players, as ACW's got DRS and he's closing in on the bottom McLaren. Does he have enough, though, is the question. He's going to go around the outside, sends it around the outside.
What's an overtake?
That was a brilliant move from ACW. Hangs it around the outside and just says, thank you very much.
That's it. Fully committed there from ACW. Just had complete faith in the tyre and his own skill. And thankfully, Plevs, he left the room on the outside for ACW to get around. And ACW is into 5th place. Simple as that.
Yeah,
Though it certainly wasn't simple.
It was a bit of a touch and go, but I mean, it worked. So now all he's got to do is get to Roscoe, and then get to the other lead pack.
Helez is now working away on the back of Chip here as they head around turns 11 and 12. Helez should be able to get by with the power of DRS rather easily, I would think. There's really not much Chip can do on those old tyres. Come through the chicane. Well, you can see there. Oh, as Chip goes in, he goes in.
ACW sets the fast lap of the race as well, 1:18.606.
Sector 2.
Flags on the set 2. That's rude, I think. It is. Yeah, he spun it at turn 7. Actually, turn 8. I remember in the race, like I mentioned earlier, the race I commentated, there were like 3 or 4 cars that spun exactly at that same corner at turn 8.
Speaking of...
That's Bags.
Accidentally pressed the PS button, so I briefly blue screen, but yeah, Bags has had a moment at turn 2. Gets going again. Unfortunately for him, the next car in 12th, which is Andre, he's a further 7 seconds behind. So...
Club's still hanging on to ACW though, by the way, still has DRS. Or is he's within DRS range, I should say.
Yeah, he'll be trying to hang on as best he can to make the most of these hard tyres. I mean, those medium tyres will have the edge over the hard tyre for some time. So, he needs to try and stay with him as best he can. But you can see...
Plebs has a moment!
He just can't get that chicane right. Well, he can't get it as right as ACW does it. Like ACW, he commits himself through that chicane. Cuts enough without getting a warning, but also just gains a whole heap of time out of it. And I think he's the only driver I've seen so far who would use that little bit of inside sort of AstroTurf at turn 15. Everybody else sort of avoids it like the plague, but ACW, he's just committed and he sends it over. And he hasn't copped a penalty for it, so...
Yeah, that's something I've seen another fast driver I've come to grips with before. You've seen him many times laying up by the name of Passas, and he does something like that as well at that same corner that ACW was doing. Cuts a lot of that corner there, and he uses all that runoff area just to get that excess time. He finds it somehow. I don't know how he does it, honestly, but yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of.
No. Still beat him here though. Last season in American Series.
Yeah, I did, because I remember he made a mistake at what was it, turn 12? That was because of intermediate conditions, and he made a mistake. Sorry.
And you pitted at exactly the right moment.
Yep. Speaking of which, ACW is getting past Roscoe. Roscoe obviously leaving him the door and goes through.
Roscoe, he's trying to go as long as he can to hop onto the soft tyre and go to the end. Quite surprised, to be honest, we haven't seen a safety car. They're quite common here in Barcelona, but we haven't seen one yet. Still got half the race to go, a bit under half the race to go, so there's still plenty of time. But only Metz.
Andre and Chip.
Hello. And they've changed positions at turn 1.
Yeah, I thought that was from DRS.
Turning back straight away, Vengeance is closing in on Plebs, who doesn't have any help from DRS now. Oh, and Vengeance gets awfully close to that gearbox.
Very close indeed.
Around turn 12. Just see how much more grip Vengeance has through this section. Around the chicane. Gets a nice run.
I'd say, too.
Here we go. It should be a fairly easy overtake. He's only 3/10 behind, using a bit of battery while he's at it.
Yep,
there we go.
Shots him too. As easy like.
Not much you can do if you're in Plebs' position, so just have to let him by and get on with your own race, I guess. You could probably... I don't know, I'll keep the tyre graphic up for now. We'll see when those medium runners, the likes of Roscoe and Alex, finally pit. They're yet to stop. They've done 18 laps on those tyres. It's a lot of running. They'll be close to puncture territory, I would think. And that's something that the game doesn't mind dishing out either, is punctures. So.
And also we might have to keep an eye on as well as BP and Ferrari Pro, because remember they are on 10 lap, well, Ferrari's on 10 lap old mediums, and then you have BP on 11 lap old mediums. So it'll be interesting to see what they'll commit to in the next stop if they do, as BP commits another penalty there.
Yeah, just ran wide at the penultimate corner, turn 15. Gave himself a warning, and as a result he's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Here comes Vengeance. Slingshots by. He's into 5th. Again, not much Roscoe can do. So
I also noticed he closed the DRS flap just before the braking zone, and then he opened it back up again. I don't know if that was just a little bit of a tease or what.
Don't know.
But, well, whatever. He's up to 5th now.
And it's a bit of a margin to ACW. Gap is 2.5 seconds. See if he can close that gap. ACW, meanwhile, he's got a 3-second margin to Ferrari Pro. And looking at the interval, he's not closing, sort of hovering the same distance to Ferrari Pro, sort of 2.9 seconds. He gained about a 10.5 though at the hairpin. I think that's just because of how committed he is under brakes at that hairpin.
He did use a little bit of battery as well. Yellow flags, that is for an
Power
AlphaTauri.
Whoa,
Yeah.
How did you end up there? He is well off into the gravel trap. He went off to meet the marshals. He was that close to the fence. My goodness.
Oh, I did that on Friday in another league, and he spins again.
Yeah, not nice. Overtake. There goes Plebs. Roscoe can't do a thing. Hello. You've done the same thing. Oh. And Rude has overtaken Powersight because Powersight had a huge off.
There you go.
Feels fairly,
well,
fairly
looks like we're
spread
reaching
out.
the. Yep, this is. I think this is reaching the stage of what Spain is in terms of its reputation, where you just get this sort of dull gaps, or dull gap, like mean you don't really have much going on afterwards in the middle part of the race, unless the only way you can have it is a safety car, like you mentioned, just to spice it up. Of course, we haven't seen that yet.
Alex still trundling along. He's done 21 laps on those mediums. BP Still going as well. Parasite is into the pits. Ferrari Pro still going. Roscoe Arm getting a 3-second time penalty. With multiple
That's
warnings.
a second as well. Yeah, second one of the night.
And into turns 1 and 2. He's only 1.3 seconds behind Vengeance, but those medium tyres will still feel pretty good, so Players will have a hard time keeping up, let alone catching up to the car in front. Gap, I think, has increased between Vengeance and ACW, not by a lot, but just by a little bit. ACW hasn't closed in on Ferrari Pro either, so that 5-lap difference between the two drivers in terms of tyre life isn't too massive, it seems.
Guess not. I mean, I would have thought Ferrari Pro and BP's tires would have just maybe slightly fell off the cliff by now, but I guess not.
Alex Pato going into the pit lane now for his one and only stop, lap 22. He'll be chucking on the soft tyre. BP has done the same.
BP's in.
Ferrari Pro stays out. Soft tyres.
What is BP going to? Alex on softs. Do you go on softs as well, BP? No, you don't.
Mediums.
Tires when you go on. Okay.
Fair enough,
Nice.
I guess. I mean, that won't be shocking, but I think if you would like to be aggressive, you want to go onto that soft tyre, try and cut your way through. That's precisely what Alex is going to try and do in 6th place. He is in quite a nice position, actually, in P6. He's got fresh rubber, he's got a relatively light car, he's got no penalties as well. He's in P6, which will likely turn into P5 once Ferrari Pro does his pit stop to get to the end. Alex is now hunting down Roscoe, who is also yet to pit. So Alex is looking at a podium finish at this stage.
Could. Went probably to the middle. Yeah, he's definitely looking like the fastest guy out there, that's for sure. Probably will use the power of DRS to slingshot past Alfa Romeo, I would assume.
He's right on the back of Roscoe. Just see the pace difference here. Roscoe stays out. Still trundling along. Here comes Alex. Opens DRS. Doesn't bother using any battery. Just gets by Roscoe. Nice and easy. He's into P5. He's got a 2-second margin to close to his teammate, Plevs. It's on 12-lap-old hard compound tyres. BP,
also,
meanwhile, is catching up to Hillers. We might have a battle here shortly.
Yeah, and also, that gap between ACW and Ferrari Pro is now at 2 seconds. A couple laps ago, it was a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah, it was about 3, just over 3. So either Ferrari Pro is putting the hammer down or the mediums are starting to fall off. So, on Ferrari Pro's car.
I think it's starting to fall. G4 Sack, meanwhile, gets the 3-second time penalty there for his trouble.
Here comes BP V8. He's got DRS, he's got momentum, he's got the inside line, and guess what? He's now got P7. So his next target will be Roscoe, who is still yet to pit. I think he'll pit this lap. Surely he'll pit this lap. Get off those tyres. He'll be very, very close to getting a puncture, I would think. No, he's got to soldier on. He's gambling. That's what he's doing. He's gambling.
Yeah, he's gambling for a safety car.
Alex gets a little bit of DRS. I think that's because of Rude there, the lap car. I'm not sure. But I think it might have been from Rude. I'm not sure. But around turn 3, Alex is closing in, and Plebs, he's low on battery. There's no point Plebs trying to fight this. Probably try and let his teammate through so he can try and catch up to Vengeance. The gap between Vengeance and ACW is fairly hefty now, just over 4 seconds. Through turn 7, through turn 8, up the hill towards turn 9. And Alex, he'll get DRS, and I'm sure players will just wave him on by. Yeah, here we go. Fairly simple stuff. Alex moves into 4th place. With the laps ticking down, I wonder if Ferrari Pro is in a state of mind to just try and stay out.
I think that's what he's doing. He's just trying to gamble with these tires. But ACW, he's closing that little bit more as much as he possibly can. He's not within DRS range just quite yet, but I feel he'll get close in the next couple of laps. Meanwhile, BP getting past Roscoe.
It's 3 abreast. You've got the Ghosted Williams on the inside. Hey, I'm a part of this too. Yeah, this is awesome.
Fair enough, Rude.
Hey man, why not? Get amongst it. Obviously, don't get too much in their way. Obviously, but yeah. Well. They've got, what, 7.5 laps to go? Ferrari Pro's got a bit of a job on his hands to hang on. I don't really see him doing it, to be honest. He might be able to hang on to a podium if those tyres stay intact. Because there's a fairly big gap between ACW and Vengeance as Roscoe gets a 3-second time penalty. So.
Excuse me.
But even more threatening to Ferrari Pro is probably Alex, who's now well within the 1 second range of Vengeance on fresh, soft tyres. He's going to be rapid, so... Open DRS, and he's using up a fair bit of battery. Switches it off now. Draws a long slide and powers past into 3rd place.
And BP sets the fastest lap. 1:17.7, I believe that was. Alright, so his next target would then be ACW.
And it's a fairly big gap, 4 seconds. You'll have to get the hammer down in. You'll probably have to hope that Ferrari Pro and ACW battle at the front, which is more than likely going to happen.
I think it will be, yeah. He's closing the gap just a tiny bit more on that lap, but they lost a bit of time there to Mill sector there. I saw he made a mistake at turn 7. Well, a slide error by almost nearly losing the back end. I gave that back.
I can see the steering wheel on Ferrari Pro's car as well. It seems he's good on fuel. Quickly text. Yeah, he's good on fuel. So he doesn't have to worry about that. I just noticed him short shifting into the half, and I thought maybe he might be a bit low, but no. Just shifted a bit early for one of the gears, I think. Gap is 1.4. Alex setting fastest lap. There's the statement of intent from the Italian. The gap is now 3.3. Last time we checked, it was 4. So Alex is flying.
He's putting the hammer down. That's definitely for sure.
He's entered Ascari mode. He is flying. So, got about 6 laps. Try and catch up. There he is there in the back of shot. Vengeance isn't too far behind either. In 4th place. Through turns 7 and 8.
Range only just though.
He's just gone out of it now.
Yeah.
He won't get DRS here. Alex.
ACW is closing just a tiny bit more. Seconds now. He's not there just quite yet with DRS range. 1.1. Now back to 1.2. Out of that corner. 1.1 still hovering between 1.1 and 1.2.
Look at all that curve he takes there at the penultimate turn.
Oh, he lost time there.
He lost a huge amount of time. He lost good 3.5 tenths, 4 tenths through that section alone. We got 5 laps to go. For lap 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33. 5 laps to sort this all out. Round turn 2. BP is close. Down the inside he goes on Plevs at turn 1. And he moves into P5.
Good move.
And what's Plevs' reward? A face full of sparks. My goodness, there was a lot of sparks coming off the Haas through turns 1 and 2.
Roscoe says fastest lap. But now he's got to put the hammer down because he's got 9 seconds with the penalties.
He does.
Meanwhile, ACW, though, is now under a second from Ferrari Pro. Oh, he was, just. But unfortunately, it just ticked over a second.
Yep, no DRS here.
Yeah, he was just under at 1 point.
Round the hairpin. Round turn 11, then turn 12. Ferrari Pro's tyres are probably reaching that puncture limit. They'll be getting close. He's done 20 laps on the things. ACW, he's done a fair amount of running too. He's done 15. Having half a moment at the exit of the chicane, but he does have DRS, and he will be closing in. We've got 4 laps to go. Speaking of closing in, Alex is 2 seconds behind ACW. He'll lose time down the main straight, but he'll gain just about everywhere else. Around turns 1 and 2. Around the flat-out right-hander of 3. He really needs to nail the middle sector to try and make up for lost time for not having DRS.
G4 Hillers. And Hillers was he was off the curb at 1 point.
They almost made contact there at turn 3 as well, as Hillers tries to go down the inside.
Ooh, that's tight. But he just has the grip at least to get through. Jeez.
Zach can't do much. Doesn't go for a move either at turn 5, so he stays behind. So Hillers up to 7th. Meanwhile, BP is closing in on Vengeance. So we're getting battles forming here at the end of the race. This is where the entertainment of Spain comes into show. It's not the mid phase that provides the entertainment. It's when all the strategies come together. You start to get this entertaining finish.
Anyway, here comes ACW.
Half a second behind. He's got a bit of battery. He's got DRS, but he's not using any battery.
I don't think he's close enough.
I don't think he wants to go for the move just yet either. He can play a far more patient game. Wait for the right moment.
Yeah, you could see too, Ferrari Pro has no battery as well as BP. Meanwhile, has gone past Vengeance there at the first corner.
And now BP will try and drive away on those fresher medium compound tyres. He does have penalties next to his name though, 9 seconds, as Hillers and G4 Zach are battling. Zach is off the circuit completely.
Goes off the road this time.
Round turn 3. Well, I suppose Hillers returned serve, I guess, at turn 2.
Yeah, lap ago was Hillers off the road, now you see Zach off the road.
Have that, Zach. Off the circuit you go. Oh, and Zach is looking left and right. He's trying to get back by the Aston Martin. And now Pump is closing in. And they're all genuinely battling for position because they all have 3-second time penalties. ACW is very close. And there's Alex Pato just in the distance. He's almost within that 1 second range.
Oh, he's sticked under it.
Hillers and Pump. They both got 3 seconds. And as you pointed out, Alex is within that 1 second range. Ferrari Pro gets a fairly decent exit.
Go for the move now.
I don't think he's close enough.
No, he is.
Oh, look at that overspeed. Wow-wee. That's unbelievable overspeed.
Yeah.
So, with 2 laps to go, ACW takes the lead.
Yeah. Smart thinking there from ACW.
Anything.
Zach gets another penalty there, too.
So they're all on even ground again.
Oh, this is going to get very spicy, I'd say. Alex, though, has got to get past Ferrari Pro if he wants any catch to gain the win as well. Little bit of sparks there from the Ferrari as well coming out of turn 5. Gets a shower of sparks to the McLaren for good measure.
Speaking of sparks flying, G4 Zach and Hillers are still having at it for 7th place. As they head down towards the hairpin of turn 3, Hillers, I reckon he thought about a move, doesn't go for it. Ferrari Pro, he needs a fairly decent final sector, but he's got a bit of a distraction right behind him. And it's the quick Italian of Alex Pato. The gap increases to 7/10. ACW is trying to drive away. Through the chicane we go. Turns 14 and 15.
He's got to get a good exit here. He does. That's a good exit.
The gap is now 1 second.
Alex is going to try to get past Ferrari Pro.
And Ferrari Pro has no DRS. So on the final lap, he gets shuffled down to 3rd place. Alex, he's now got 1 car left in front of him and 7/10 between him and the win. It's the final lap here at Spain. Alex is on fresher, soft compound tyres. ACW, he's on fairly well-worn mediums, but he's got half a second in hand to the Italian. Exiting turn 4, down the hill towards the hairpin of turn 5. Alex closes in little by little through this middle sector because of his better tyres. Has a small wiggle at the exit of 5, through 7, into 8, up the hill towards turn 9. ACW running low on battery. Around the fast right-hander. Alex will get DRS and close in quite a bit here. Down towards the hairpin. Alex isn't close enough to go for the lead, but he is right behind the Alfa Romeo. Around turn 11, into turn 12. 3/10 separate the top two. They only have a few corners remaining as Alex has another moment at the exit of 12. Through the chicane for the final
The
time.
chicane's going to matter here.
ACW,
got it.
he's got it. He's got a good enough run at the exit of chicane, and ACW's going to win it. ACW wins the Spanish Grand Prix by 0.6 of a second to Alex Pato. Ferrari Pro will complete the podium in 3rd. Vengeance will jump up to 4th place, just under 0.2 in front of Plevs in P5, BP in P6, and the battle for P7 is won by GeForce Zach, followed by Hilles and Pump, and completing the top 10 will be Bags Liddell, looking at the penalties as Roscoe Arm has 12 seconds worth next to his name. How about that? A very tight finish there at the end of this race. All the strategies coming together at the end, giving us a fantastic finish. And a very tight one. Only 1.2 seconds separating the top 3 at the end there, with 3 fairly different strategies going on. Chip in 12th. Andre will be our final finisher in 13th. Rude and Powerside, they've already finished in P14 and 15, respectively. No.
Yeah,
Very
good
nice.
race overall, though. I mean, I did say earlier that the racing is a bit dull around here. I mean, like you said in the last bit of the race, strategies came down to the last part of the race, and well, ACW prevailed.
Only just so. I reckon if
Only
there was
just.
one more lap, Alex might have got him. It was very close at the end. But a fine drive from our top 3. Deserving podium finishes. But standing on our top step will be ACW. He'll close the gap between him and Ferrari Pro in the Drivers' Championship, keeping that fight alive. And the winning streak, the 5-race winning streak for Ferrari Pro, has finally come to an end. And Alex, he'll be pretty happy with that Driver of the Day performance. Starting from 9th, he ends up finishing 2nd. Outside of the podium, we have Vengeance in P4, followed by Plevs in P5. BP, not exactly the best day in the office for the Haas driver. He finishes in P6. GeForce Zach P7, Hilles in 8th, Pump in 9th, and Bags Liddell rounds out the 10. Then we have Roscoe Arm with fastest lap in 11th, followed by Chip in 12th. Andre in 13th place, then Rude in 14th, and Powerside is our final finisher in 15th place. Metz was our only retirement over the course of this Grand Prix. 16 drivers started, 15 finished. Only one... Oh, hang on. 2 seconds. Oh, I see. I read the intervals, not the gap to leader. 2 seconds separating the top 3 at the end of this one. Alrighty. Suppose I'll add the top 3 in here. Can have a chat about what happened. You. Where's the other one? You. There we are. Thank goodness, with ACW, Alex, and Ferrari Pro, they're fairly early in alphabetical order, so they're pretty easy to find. So, have a nice chat. If they want to talk. If they don't want to talk, that's fine as well.
Yeah, see if they join. There's one of them.
Hello, Alex.
Hello.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
How you
Long time
feeling?
no see, huh?
was so close, man.
So close, I know. But no, you put on a very solid performance. Hello, Ferrari Pro.
Yeah, hello.
You sound a bit dejected.
I mean, it was by my own fault, but it hurts.
I mean, I think you did the best that you could with the tyres you were on.
I mean, I was like on like 78% on the front left.
I was going to say, how bad were those tyres at the end? They look pretty shocking from the outboards. Just no grip at all.
Oh man, it was not the best.
Yeah.
I did.
I'm still a hell of an effort, though. I need to go for that long on the mediums. That's a hell of an effort.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw BP go in, and I actually forgot that the mediums like and the softs all times.
I wasted the win, by the way. When I went into the gravel on lap 4, I lost those 3 or 4 seconds. Like with these 3 or 4 seconds, I would have won the race easy.
Alright then, Alex. Calm down.
No, I'm calm.
You're calm.
I'm just a bit frustrated.
Since when are Italians calm? Let's be honest. You're a pretty energized bunch of people over in Italy.
True. Can't deny
When
it.
did they drive McLarens? I'm just kidding.
Because
has an Italian ever driven a McLaren?
Not that I can recall. Or unless I don't know.
I don't think so, actually.
Is
It would
Kella?
have to be. No.
I drive McLaren. I drive McLaren because Mr. Race Spec wanted McLaren, and I wanted.
Yeah,
GT.
I understand that was the reason why. I was just taking them, giving you the mare.
It would have to be one of
used-
those millions of Italians that raced in the 80s at one point. Raced in the McLaren.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, but McLaren in the 80s had Senna, Prost, and all this.
Well,
the
even before
drivers.
that, when they weren't exactly the best team. I would think, in terms of the best shot, it would either be someone like DeAngelis or...
Could be, yeah. No, Alboreto didn't, but like, who's the other one?
Did Tracy drive from Ricardo?
Patrese drove for Williams. He definitely
Yeah,
drove for
Patrese
Williams.
drove for Williams.
He did.
Whether or not he drove for McLaren, though, is a different story.
I can't recall Tracy ever driving for McLaren.
Hello, ACW as well. How are you?
Good day.
I'm sure you're pretty pleased. Well, that emphatic response tells me everything, doesn't it?
Kimi Räikkönen style.
Blah.
It's
I
probably
drive
the
car,
new
I
mic.
won. Blah.
Blah.
What did you do today, ACW? Blah, I race.
Drive
I
and
race,
win the
I
race. Drive and win.
I'll tell you what, we'll start the podium interviews. Well, we kind of have already, sort of. We'll go from third, we'll make our way up. So we'll start with you, Ferrari Pro. It's a bit unfortunate your awesome winning streak has come to an end, but it doesn't discredit a pretty solid performance here in Spain. Just take us through the whole session, both qualifying and the race.
In qualifying, like I was down in P8 for a couple minutes and that. Then it came back up in the softs, lowered some tyre pressures down and all that. The race was pretty good actually. The start I really enjoyed. That was satisfying. Getting past what's his name, Vengeance and ACW. Like that was pretty satisfying.
Yep.
And I saw BP pit, so I responded to that a lap later.
Yep.
On the mediums, thought they could blast to the end. They did, but
Shocking.
and yeah, I was holding a fairly decent lead, but yeah, the front left was just pretty dead.
No, you kept out of trouble, which definitely helped you as well. And you mentioned earlier those tyres were pretty bloody shot by the end of it. So to hang on for as long as you did, and the fact that the game was merciful enough not to give you a puncture, because when you get into that range, it's basically up to the game whenever you get a puncture. It's so
What was your
inconsistent.
tyre percentage?
It was like 78%.
Ow! 78. If it's like lap 7.
That's just... Yeah, no,
That
that's...
went crazy, bro.
I reckon if it was like another 2 corners, it would have been puncture.
Yeah, probably. And considering there's a lot of right-handers at Spain as well, that outside left probably got shredded. So, but KD, have you got any questions to ask Ferrari Pro?
So, how confident were you when you were trying to take that gamble, trying to go that far onto the medium tire? Did you? I mean, it probably is a bit of a follow-up question, really, but did you think you could like try to hold onto the win as best you could? I mean, despite all that.
Like my plan was when I realised that it was coming down a lot, the rubber, I was gonna like go as best as I can until the point of puncture. So I would be potentially like fighting the whole final lap with a puncture, but then well, I started slowing down and all that because just genuine shorter straight line speed and all that.
Yeah.
And cornering speed and yeah.
But
I was confident, but it didn't end up well.
I think you did the best you could considering the scenario. So
Yeah, I'll play FIFA.
You can't be disappointed with that either. It's a great effort, nonetheless.
But
It's just
final.
disappointing that the streak came down, but I'll be back.
Well, speaking of back, next week we're over at Singapore at Marina Bay. How do you feel going into that event?
That track is harder than Monaco, I reckon.
Really?
But
Really?
yeah, I reckon it is. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll give it a good shot. It's not one of my strongest tracks, but it is a street circuit. I like street circuits, so I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Alrighty then. Best of luck for next week then, and congratulations on your third place finish, Ferrari Pro. Great effort.
Thank you very much.
We'll hop over to P2, Mr. Alex Pato. That was a solid effort from you as well. After qualifying 9th on the medium tire, you came back through to finish just a few tenths behind ACW. Just take us through what happened through qualifying and through the race for you.
Well, it was an eventful race for me actually, and also qualifying. On the last round in quali, I was improving by 2 times, but I got the lap invalidated. I could have started like in P6 on mediums, which was basically what I wanted from the start. And then I was actually going from the medium hard strategy, but then I saw my lap times being really consistent, and I wasn't really losing a lot of time to ACW and Ferrari Pro. So I said, okay, let's try to extend the stint a bit and see how it goes. Because even if I would have put hards like on lap 17, 18, it would have been much quicker than the other hard runners. And then I reached lap 20 and I said, okay, I'm going for softs, and I did 22 laps on the mediums, which I was surprised, to be honest. I was really consistent and I reached like 75% like tire wear on the left front. But as I said, like the laps were getting really consistent, and then on the softs, basically, yeah, I was quicker than Ferrari Pro and ACW. I just needed one more lap, but on the other hand, I lost the car in turn 2, going to the gravel and losing 4 or 5 seconds because of it. Otherwise, without the mistake, I think it would have been much easier for me to get the win. But on the other hand, I'm really satisfied. Like it was an eventful race. It could have gone like much worse than it did in the end. So I'm really happy about this P2.
But, KD, have you got anything to ask Alex?
I guess one of the questions I'd like to ask you too was, did you try to gamble for a safety car? Because there was you and Roscoe on that were staying out for quite some time on the medium tires, like because you guys did like over 20 something laps, I want to say, both on the opening stint on the mediums. Was that part of the gamble, or did you were just confident enough that you thought if you with green flag throughout you could try to go for the win?
I was actually not hoping for a safety car, because if I was first, and if a safety car would have come out like on lap 17, 16, I wouldn't been forced to put hards, or maybe put hards and then stop again for new mediums. So that would have like screwed a bit my my old plan. As I said, it wasn't planned. It wasn't planned to go so long on the mediums. But I was watching my lap times being really consistent. I also checked my race director, and my laps on the mediums were never they were always below, always 19s. Basically, I never did a 20. And I said, okay, it's pretty consistent. Then why not going for the softs? And also knowing that ACW was going till the end and Ferrari Pro pitted so early, I knew even if the softs drop out massively, I knew I would have been the advantage anyway. That was what I was thinking during the race, basically. But as I said in the beginning, it wasn't planned at all.
But, well, I've done a bit of research, Alex, to try and find an Italian who has driven for McLaren. I have found one.
Who is he?
It's a 1980s Italian. Who would have thought? Andrea De Cesaris.
Ah, De Cesaris. Oh, true.
In 1981, he drove for McLaren. The only season he drove for McLaren. So there you go. I found one. But,
Well, that solves the mystery.
final question. Next week, we're going over to Singapore at Marina Bay. What's your thoughts heading into next week?
Well, I'm usually pretty consistent in street circuits, but I haven't raced at Singapore that much, to be honest. The last race I did in this game at Singapore was an endurance race here at Race Spec, and it was wet all the way through the race.
That would have been fun.
And we actually, and I'm gonna tell you that we actually finished the race before finishing the laps because it took more than 2 hours. So we reached the 2-hour limit.
Is there a time limit?
We reached the time limit and we ended the race 5 laps before the scheduled number of.
Oh my god! I didn't know
so-
there was a time limit. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and then 1 hour for the 50% races.
Yeah, right.
It's proportional. But yeah, I'm gonna put some work into it because I really need some practice on the track. It's really complicated, a lot of turns. You can gain but lose a lot in many corners, and also the walls are always next to you. So if you make a mistake, then it's gonna be really hard for you. And I think the strategy is gonna pan out big time because the softs at Singapore don't last that long. It's basically what happens at Spain, more or less. But you don't want to get stuck in traffic. So yeah, it will be a really nice race to see and to take part as well. We'll see.
Yeah, Singapore's definitely one of those tracks where the soft tyres just kind of useless in terms of race pace. It's a bit like Hungaroring as well. The soft tyre just burns up way too quickly there. But no, thank you very much for joining us here, Alex, and congratulations on your P2 finish.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our race winner, ACW. You finally broken the duck. Congratulations on your victory here in Spain. That's relief. That's relief. You got the monkey off your shoulders. You've done it. You put in a fairly decent qualifying lap. Did you felt like there was more time in it? You said a 15.8, if I remember correctly.
There was definitely a lot more time in it. I stuffed up the first chicane on my final lap, and then I just couldn't recover and improve, so I decided to back out.
Fair enough.
Probably could have done a 0.6 maybe, or 0.5, but that's only ifs, buts, and maybes.
Fair enough. But race time came around. Not the best start.
I felt like people had a earlier lights out than me, because I had that glitch. Because they were all gone, and mine still hadn't gone yet.
I see. Well, that's a glitch that's been in the game since 2019. I remember it being in there.
For a while.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there was one tonight, considering we had the lobby restart, so we had to reshuffle everything. But yeah, the race start just didn't go your way. Dropped down to second into turn one, and I think Ferrari Pro also got you on the opening lap. But what about the rest of the race for you? How was it?
It was quite chill.
Yep.
I was quite surprised Ferrari Pro and BP picking in so early.
Mhm.
I was like 100% expecting Ferrari to pit, but he never did.
Yep.
And then like during mid race, I was just cruising, like making sure I have enough ERS towards the end.
Yep.
And save the tires. And then I was like, alright, is BB leading to Roscoe? He's like, no, Alex is. and then I was really like, oh crap.
Here we
I
go.
have to start pushing. Because I was just like chilling the whole time.
Yeah,
And then I forgot about Alex.
we said on stream Alex entered a scurry mode and he just started carving his way towards the front. And then he
I
overtook
was saying too,
Vengeance
like-
and then it was game on between you three at the front.
Yeah, I knew like the 2 laps ago. I said that you had to make the overtake at like right at that point, which you
Yeah.
did, obviously.
I
And it
needed
definitely
a little
paid off.
buffer over Alex. With Ferrari played as that buffer.
But, KD, have you got anything to ask?
I think you kind of touched on all the questions there, Lane. But other than that, really, I just gotta say, good job, ACW. Glad to see you back on top of the podium for the first time in a while. We'll see how far you can carry that.
Yep. Thank
That's
you, Katie.
Well,
No dramas.
same as my previous final questions. Next week we're over in Singapore, ACW. Your thoughts?
Yes, Singapore. I've been to the track in real life like 4 times, so it's quite a nice place. I got to stand like right at the fence of the podium watching it in 2014. Good times. It's normally not too bad of a circuit for me. It tends to go well.
Fair enough. Well, congratulations on your victory here today at Spain ACW. Great effort.
Thank you.
Well, I think, KD, I think they'll wrap everything up. Not a bad race here in Spain. I've definitely seen better, but I've definitely seen worse as well. So, it wasn't bad at all. But, I think everybody watching, I'll wrap everything up. Tune in throughout the week as we've still got plenty of racing to come here on Race Spec Esports, but for Pacific Elite, we'll have to wait until next week. Until then, I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you for round 8 of the championship at the longest race of the season at Marina Bay Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Good night.